and treat it as the official language of the country, there also we don't find that the scenario is very happy. Now, the question arises that again the recurring question is why we should study Persian. What made us opt for this language and literature? To answer categorically this question, I would like to tell you some of the experiences that I have faced in my course of career when I was a student and then when I became a faculty member. I was also one of you, like you, I was also at one point of time, I was also a student. But the only difference between myself and you is that I had clear picture that why I was studying Persian. I had a clear picture that right from graduation I opted for this particular language and literature to become a university teacher. So my problem was very much clear cut, but your problem is not that much clear cut. You are still grouping in darkness. Things are not clear before you that why you should study Persian. So let me respond to this question in a very clear and crystal manner. That Persian is first of all is a foreign language for you. Most of you, if not all of you, have your mother tongue Bengali. You speak Bengali language. You also have a very good, rich Bengali literature. And Persian has got no role to play in your mother tongue Bengali, in the sense that it is written in a different script, the syntax is different, the vocabulary is different, the traditions are different, the entire atmosphere of language is different, the surroundings and milieu of this language and literature is different. So Persian is a foreign language for you. You have to learn Persian as a foreign language. Just like English, just like Chinese, just like Japanese, one has to learn Persian as a foreign language. Now imagine your teachers, I know them right from the beginning, that they traveled to Iran. Not that they did not know Persian language. They traveled to Iran to brush up their language, to make their proficiency in the language better, because the environment was not here. The teachers who were teaching in this university were very eminent people. They knew Persian, but I believe that they also did not know Persian like Sabur Khan or Saiful Islam Khan or Abul Kalam Sarkar, who can freely converse Persian. They could speak English better than Persian. They could speak Urdu better than Persian. But their understanding of Persian was far better than putting all of us together. Learning Persian language, I know many teachers in my life. For example, take the case of Muhammad Iqbal. Muhammad Iqbal knew less Persian than you people know, as far as spoken Persian is concerned. But his understanding of Persian was so great that if you put all the Persian speaking people and intellectuals together, they would not match the understanding of Persian of Iqbal. So understanding literature is a different supposition. The difference between language and literature, that you have to understand first of all. That whether you get anything in reward for learning Persian language and literature is one part of the story. That is another. But the most important part of the story is not what you are going to earn from learning Persian language and literature. That is a different part of story, but not an important part of story. The important part of story is that how much language and literature you know. That is the most important part of story. What I find in my practical experience with people who are engaged with Persian language and literature. I knew many people in my life, I can take their names also, that there was a gentleman who was a professor of Persian language and literature at Aligarh Muslim University, and he has written very beautiful books on Persian literature. His name was Professor Waris Kirmani, and he could not speak Persian. He could not. He was a professor of Persian. He could not speak Persian and he could not write Persian also. That means, as one could write, for example, a letter or an article in Persian. Later on he kept, these are things are, speaking language is a matter of practice. If one is exposed to a society where predominantly Persian is spoken, then automatically one will learn Persian unconsciously, whether you make efforts or you do not make efforts, but you will learn the language. So learning language is one step towards understanding literature, but not the step. The basic knowledge of language is very limited. If you see the basic knowledge of language, there are 8 parts of speech only. There is no 9th part of a speech. There is only 8 parts of speech. So if I want to learn the 10th part of a speech, there is no 10th part of a speech in grammar. So somebody has to write a new grammar then. So 8 part of a speech and 26 or 28 letters are there in Persian. This thing, you just join them, form words, learn 8 parts of speech, construct a sentence, and thus you learn a language. And then you go on speaking, you will speak language. I still remember that one student of mine, he came to my class and he was learning that language, and I was supposed to teach the students translation course. And he got befriended with one Iranian student, and he was staying with him for 24 hours, day in and day out. And then within a few months he could speak very good Persian. He could speak better Persian than myself. I have studied Persian for 30 years, but I could find him that his accent, his pronunciation, his everything was better than mine. But his understanding of language itself, speaking is a different thing. Understanding is a different thing. The animals like monkeys, they ape, we call the aping, that is mimicry. You try to speak, you imitate. Imitation, through imitation, you learn something. So he learned Persian very well. So there was a term I wanted the students to translate, World Cup. It's a familiar thing. World Cup. I said, now translate, Ali, his name was Ali. I said, Ali, translate this World Cup. And he translated it, Finjane Jahani. I said, that's very good. This is the bane of imitation. Because all the times when he was talking about cup, and he was talking with the Iranian, so they used to say Finjan. But what about jam? Jam did not belong to the daily discourse, it was embedded in literature. Jame Jame Hindustan, Jame Jamshid. So Jame Jahani, instead of translating Jame Jahani, he invariably translated it Finjane Jahani. So that shows that even learning a language is not that much simple. If you imitate, you will learn a language better, faster, but it's not deeper. For that you need an application of mind. That application of mind is something very rare. Who has that mind? That mind, we the Asians, do we have that mind? That is the thing. How fertile is our mind? That makes your journey easier. That once you are learning, again as I said, that reward for learning a language, reward for learning a literature in terms of job is one proposition, is one part of the story, but not the part of the story. The part of the story is your understanding of language and literature. Now, we are, after all, non-native speakers. We speak Persian language to the extent of communication. Okay, I want to communicate with somebody. But when it comes to technicality, something very technical, just I said that finjane jahani and jame jahani, so the technicality is very much there. When it comes to technicality, there one A is different from B and B is different from C and C is different from D. Everybody doesn't have the same level of understanding. Now, as I was saying, that we had two set of professors about whom I was just referring to, Professor Varis Kirmani. So Varis Kirmani understood literature. He knew the language also, not that he did not know the language, but he could not speak language. He could not speak the language. He could not write as letters in Persian language, but he could write about Persian language and literature, about the nuances of Indo-Persian language and literature in English, in Urdu, rather than in Persian. Of course, later on, he developed, he practiced, and then he wrote a few articles in Persian also. Those articles are superb, very good. But his understanding of literature was very incisive. I was traveling with a professor from Allama Tabatabai University, and I asked him that who was a greater poet, Iqbal or his contemporary Malikush-Shuraih-Bahar. Then he smiled at me and he wanted to tell me that what foolish question you are asking me. By any stretch of imagination, Malikush-Shuraih-Bahar was a greater poet than Iqbal. Then I told him that, sir, how many people know Malikush-Shuraih-Bahar beyond Iran? Then he became very serious. And then I told him that Malikush-Shuraih-Bahar himself had admitted that Asr-e Hazir Khase-e Iqbal gasht, Wahidi as-sad hezaran dar guzasht. He himself had acknowledged the greatness of Iqbal. Then he said, of course, Iqbal was a greater poet than Malikush-Shuraih-Bahar. So to know, because Iqbal could not, an Iranian admitting Iqbal as a greater poet than Malikush-Shuraih-Bahar, who was a Mashhadi, who was a poet laureate of Astana-e-Quds-e-Razavi, and who himself was a poet in his own right and a university professor, a man of literature. But he could not match as far as his scholarship, as far as understanding of literature was concerned with Iqbal. So what I want to emphasize upon is that when you have enrolled yourself as a student of Persian language and literature, the problems which you are facing is two-sided. One is not you have to learn a language just like a parrot. Agha befarmai hale shuma chetumre, inshallah hale shuma khub hai. This is not Persian. Persian is when you speak or try to speak the language of Sadi and Chahar Makala. When you understand that language, when you understand and speak, I will just share with you one beautiful experience. I had a conference on Jami. It was half-day conference. And one participant of the conference, she was an Iranian, Khanum Nahid Burshidulu. And she wrote a paper on Jamali, a contemporary of Jami. And when she wrote that, she presented her paper, ambassador of Iran could not come, his representative came, who was a Persian, whose mother tongue was Persian. And when she had presented her paper, that man came to her and said, Khanum, maqale shuma bisyar khub بود amma man hiç nafahmid. What was the point? That he could understand that it was a different language she was speaking and she was presenting, but it was beyond his understanding, because the man was always calculating dollars in his mind. The man was he was working in embassy, he was more interested in public relations, but he could not follow what is the nuances of Persian language. How sweet is Persian language. Now he could only feel it, but to sweetness. I'll just explain you. You are eating a food. That food you are eating, it gives you some taste. You are feeling that taste. But there are people, everybody is feeling the taste, not only you. Whosoever eats the food will have the taste of the food. But then there is a connoisseur who doesn't relish the taste of the food, who also records the taste of the food. Recording, registering the taste of the food is more important than having the taste of the food. That means somewhere your intellect is working with your emotion. You understand, you recognize it, that this is the taste of the food. So he could relish it, the language she was speaking, but he could not understand that language. That what language she was speaking. She was not speaking a language of her own. She was speaking the language of Sadi. And it is very difficult for anyone to speak the language of Sadi. So, as a student of language, your capacity, what is your capacity? What is your appetite? How much language you should know? The depth of your understanding of language is very important. Once you understand the language with all its fineness, with all its nuances, with all its complication, that where should I, with all its cautions, there are, cautions are there, that what word you should speak, your choice of words. There should not be one word more and one word less. We have writers, for example, when you read the prose of Jawaharlal Ahmad, what type of prose he is writing, and read the prose of Muhammad Hijazi, you find that Jawaharlal Ahmad is so miser that he doesn't use too many words. He uses few words only. Few words. But as compared to Muhammad Jalal, you find Muhammad Hijazi is using words after words, words after words. And then what he is getting? He is getting nothing except that he is producing sound. But Jalal, when he is using words, he is very meticulous in using words in his language so that they should not produce anything extra. He wants to be very precise, just like the Americans who are attacking, with precision. That they don't want to kill civilians. They said that we want to kill our target only. That precision is very important in usage of language. So when you are learning Persian, it is not as simple as that you are learning Persian. One has to use his or her skill, that how I can be different from A, and how A will be different from B, and how C will be different from A and B. So the difference, your linguistic skill, how to develop it, that development we don't find among students. And one of the worst thing is your mobile. This is the most dangerous enemy which you are having is your mobile. It is interfering in your language learning process. It is not helping you. The best way of learning language is your books. Consult dictionary. Sit here with your books. Take a longer course rather than a shorter one. Now, as I said, that let us talk about language. That is known as talab. To lam be. Talab. That word talab is so beautiful. I wish I again become 20 years old. Now I'm in my 60s. And as I have understood the word talab now, in my 60 years of age, I wish I would have understood this word talab when I was 20 years old. Talab is a beautiful word in our vocabulary. That talab, which has become corrupt Taliban, it has used in a very bad meaning today. Taliban, it has become a very derogatory word, but it's so beautiful word, talab. That talab is so important. Quest. If you read the story of Akhtar in Mantakut Tair, the first thing is talab. That talab. It is not only Mantakut Tair, everybody is a Tair here. All the Seymour, you can find it here. That talab is very important. Quest is very important. If you don't have that talab in you, that talab is so much important that without talab, your journey will become incomplete. Out of talab I have come here. My wife was saying that why you are going there? It is not Paris, it is not London. Why you are going to Bangladesh? You are traveling all the way. I said, no, I love Bengal. When I say I love Bengal, I don't love West Bengal alone, I love Bangladesh equally. It is one Bengal. I said that I love that soil, I love those people, I love that culture, I love that food. I don't want to invest my money anywhere else. I want to invest my money here. I want to go there. I have my weekend. It's a pretext. Rajshahi University and all these Asiatic society are pretexts, bahana. I want to meet my Bengali speaking people. I love them. I want to share my thoughts and feelings with them. They are part of my life. My wife, she comes from a different domain. He is more North Indian and I am more East Indian. I said that no, let me go. I want to. So that talab is very important. It is that talab that will take each one of you where you also don't know. You also don't know. And mind you, the world is not Bangladesh. God did not create Bangladesh alone. God has created, Allah has created the world very bigger than Bangladesh. With your Persian, with your degree of Persian, you can land anywhere in the world. It is a redundant subject, a subject which doesn't have any value. Yes, market value doesn't have. But who is going to stop you with talab? If you have that talab will somewhere will take you where you don't know. Perhaps will take you to a small village in Bangladesh where you will be happier than anybody who is in London and Paris or New York. Because to negotiate life is your prerogative. How to negotiate life? I negotiated, he negotiated, and he is here. So negotiation with life, how a person can negotiate with life. Perhaps you can land in foreign ministry. You can land with anywhere. That gem must be in you. That Jawhar must be in you. If that Jawhar, if that metal is not in you, you are nothing. Just a handful of bones and a lump of flesh. But if that talab helps you to understand language and literature, it will make a difference in your life. I can't assure you whether you will get any job or not. That is a different thing. Even the best will not get job today. Getting job is a different chemistry. It's not the same chemistry where 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen is going to make water. It's a different chemistry. Job and job marketing and job engineering, this is a different domain. But what is important is how much language and literature you understand. As far as Persian is concerned, I assure you again that one life is not possible to read Persian language and literature. You need so many lives. You are having only one life. And in this one life, my goodness, you have got so much to read, so much to understand, but that should be beyond your planning scheme. That is, scheme is there, everybody has a scheme. That I want to do this, I want to do that. That's a different thing. But to be faithful to language, to be faithful to literature, how much you are faithful. You expect Abul Kalam Sarkar, you expect Saiful Islam Khan, you expect Sabur Khan to deliver everything to you, and you will not do anything. That is not possible. Your teachers are only facilitators. They don't have any role to play. Even they don't have, I take the audacity to tell, even they don't have the role to teach you. Even they don't have the role to teach you. But what is important is your role to study. You have got greater stake in it. We teachers don't have much stake. Whether I teach, I do not teach, I will get my salary on time. But I will be not a loser. This is not part of my life. The studying is part of your life. Because you are going to shape your life. I am not going to. My life has already been shaped. You have to shape your life. In order to shape your life, your stake is far greater than mine. Of course, I don't justify that we are not supposed to teach. We are supposed to teach more than what we are teaching. But Again I said that we are only facilitators. We facilitate you, we enable you, we activate you, but activation is your part of game. The rule of the game tells that you have to be more active than me. If I teach you 1 hour, it entails that you have to study 10 hours. So 1:9 ratio. If any teacher who teaches you 1 hour, that means you have to study 9 hours. If you are not studying 9 hours yourselves, then don't blame the teacher and the institution that Dhaka University has done nothing and Sabur Khan has done nothing. Don't blame them. That blame game is not, it's not going to help you a lot. And neither anybody is going to listen to that or go to see that game. You have to do. What you have to do is, in English, we have a phrase. That phrase is, you have to bear your cross. How that, I just tell you, there are so many beautiful things in our literature. Wit and humor. So beautiful subject. Mullah Nasruddin. If you just read on Mullah Nasruddin, you will find that how beautiful, how nice things he is going to teach you. Or you take the case of Rumi. When you read Rumi, you find that Rumi is just carrying you into a different sphere, 9 spheres of the universe. Or you read Iqbal, or Tagore, or Qazi Nazrul Islam. But the question is, you have to read, don't listen. You have to read, take out books from the shelf. Sit here, look up the dictionary, and then have discussion. And discussion part is missing somewhere in our life. That what you study should not be kept secret in your heart. You have to speak what is in your heart to your friend. Most of the students, they have a habit of keeping everything hidden. Don't hide. Share with everybody. You are not going to lose anything, let me tell you. Whatever is there in your destiny will be given to you. Even if you share with somebody, share with them. Read, try to share your knowledge. Don't keep your knowledge unto yourselves. That part is again missing. That conversation, the dialogue, guftagu. You have to sit. And then you enjoy life, see how beautiful life is. When you are talking, when you are reading, when you are discussing. The other day, we have a cooperative society, and I went with my students to an architect, and he drew a plan. The architect drew a plan, and then he had a parking because there were 8 people who are going to have the house together. So he drew a plan and he said that there will be only 7 parking. The 8th car will be outside that parking zone in the lane. But that is again illegal. So a student of mine, Khalid, he was sitting there, and then with his mind, he said that you have made this house of a chowkidar here. Why don't you remove it and put the 7th car here? And then the architect said, yes, it's a good decision. So he just struck that plan and made the 8 parking there and removed the chowkidar's house to somewhere else. So this is the beauty of discussion. When you discuss, whether it is language or literature, the other will say, no, you are not telling the right thing. This is not correct. I think so, if we speak in this way, this would be better. So this dialogue among yourselves, this will help you. This will create a different ambience. If you don't agree with each other, you bring your case to the court of Sabur Khan, Saiful Islam Sahab, আবুল কালাম আজাদ স্যার আমি এইটা ভাবছিলাম ইনি এইটা বলছেন আপনি বলুন তো কোনটা ঠিক আছে he is going to judge the opinion that no he is right so that spirit and 3 years 4 years 5 years which you are spending here in Dhaka University will become a happy memory for you enriching experience so what I suggest is that in course of your 3 years BA program or 5 years MA program, whatever program of study you are having, is that engage yourself with books, engage yourself with academic discussion, make yourself academically rich, learn language just like native speakers, develop understanding of literature. These are not small things. Now you are few in numbers, could be hardly 100 in this program. What is the population of Bangladesh? What is the population of Dhaka? In that population, vast majority people who do not know Persian, who do not know Persian literature, you know Persian language and literature, will be distinct from the vast majority. You are more respected for that because you have the knowledge. What is important is not job, not career. Your knowledge is important. At the end of the day, what will be counted is how knowledgeable you are, not how many degrees you have. Your knowledge is very important, and that knowledge is not overnight journey. It is not within 24 hours you are going to amass and gather. It will take years and years of labor, years and years of dedication, how much attention you are paying to each and every word. And I'll tell you one thing. Dr. Sabur Khan has translated the book, The Blind Owl. And we have brought a conference, we have arranged a conference. When I was a student of Persian language and literature, I was reading that novel. When I was reading that novel, Blind Owl, Bufekur, I could not understand. I was a mature student of Masters of Arts, MA. Then once I read it, it's not a very voluminous book. It was just 110 pages novella, and I read it once, I could not understand. I read it twice, I could not understand. I read it thrice, even I could not understand. I read it several times, innumerable times, I could not understand. And when I could not understand all those things which were there, contents of that novel, I stopped studying it. Again, after a period of 2 years, I again picked up the thread from where I left, and I rereading it again. And then I found now I am understanding it a bit. Then I became a teacher, a faculty member. I wrote an article also on that book when I was a research scholar. But a few students said, "Sir, we want to study this novel with you." And I became afraid myself that when I did not understand this novel, how could I teach these people? I said, okay, let me try again. And then I started doing research again. Now I could see that yes, I was in a position to interpret that novel, to explain it to them. And then I developed my interest in it. I convened an international seminar, invited scholars, shared their knowledge, and it came out in a form of a book today. So it took just 110 pages document. Took me 10 years to study. Imagine, just 110 pages document. It was not a voluminous book like War and Peace. 110 pages. And I find that, so whatever you study today, don't think that they are going to be wasted or they have gone in waste. You study today, you acquaint yourself. You will find that afterwards, they are going to give you some, there are seeds. I'll put it in a most ordinary manner. There are seeds. If you sow them, they will bear fruit, say, after 10 years. But there are seeds, if you sow them tomorrow morning, they are going to come up. Like the gram, sprouts. So sprouts can come out, in overnight. But what about the chinar tree? But what about other trees which are going to last? If they are going to, if you sow the seed today, just see the chinar tree, it is not sowed in a soft soil. It is sowed in rocky soil. And then the seed bursts. It penetrates its roots and then the tree comes out. It takes 10 years for a tree to come out from a seed. How do you, your problem I understand, you want immediate result. Today you get admission and you want tomorrow job. That's a wrong approach. In academia, this is not viable. Today you admit yourself. It will take 10 years for you to get job, placement, understanding, knowledge to negotiate life. I think I am done here. I have spoken too much for you. Thank you very much.